My name's Chris Foulds, and I'm one of the co-leads coordinating the Energy Shift project. And I'm a Principal Research Fellow at the Global Sustainability Institute at Anglia Ruskin University in Cambridge in the UK. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to outline 8 recommendations which I've sourced through my experiences as an evaluator of Horizon 2020 proposals. And these recommendations are going to be on how social sciences and humanities can be mainstreamed and integrated within more technical energy projects. It's obviously a commitment and target for the European Commission for there to be more social science and humanities, more SSH within technical projects, regardless of it being energy or not. And here are 8 recommendations. Number 1, focus on the concept, not just the impact. It's important to remember that social science and humanities can really do a lot in the very approach that you take. The identification, for instance, of the problems that your technologies may be seeking to solve. In the development of the technologies themselves even. Don't just focus on impact and on the dissemination and the technology transfer of the technologies that you would have developed. Number 2. Remember that it's about SSH integration, not SSH inclusion. So you want to make sure that you embed SSH thinking throughout your work packages and your tasks. Don't just focus on having 1 or 2 SSH bolted on tasks, or 1 or 2, or even just 1 work package that handles it all separately. It needs to be integrated. So you need tasks that, yes, are SSH focused, and yes, that are technically focused, but also many that do both of these. And this is all about the interdisciplinarity or even the transdisciplinarity that they're wanting to see. Number 3, be careful of overstating and overclaiming on your state of the art. There's obviously a subsection in section 1 on ambition of the proposal, and you want to make sure that you don't overclaim here. Remember that there's been decades and decades of research from SSH scholars all around the role of technologies. So remember this when you're saying that things haven't been done before, that there's a really novel approach, and make sure you do your homework. And perhaps the best way to do that is by involving good SSH researchers within the proposal writing itself. Number 4, think longitudinally. This is a chance to really get SSH involved as part of the concept, as I mentioned, on day 1, not just year 3. Really embed it across the life of the project. And this, I think, will only mean that there'll be more meaningful and longer lasting impacts created anyway. Number 5, look to exploit the gender section within section 1. I think now reviewers are expecting as a complete minimum that gender balance is represented amongst the partners, and that gender is considered well within the management of the project. So really what sets it apart is how gender becomes an object of research and of inquiry, and something that you're sensitive through your technical projects. So this is SSH, gender studies, for instance, is an SSH discipline. Make sure to do this well. Number 6, be creative with your KPIs. So in doing your objectives at the start of section 1, it's important that you get good KPIs to show that you will be able to monitor the success of the project. And I think people's desire to try and quantify these, yes, is probably true based upon how the Commission reviews these objectives. But remember that you can be creative, and that doesn't mean that you can't do qualitative work, which itself is excellent for pushing forward SSH insights. So, for instance, you could commit to doing interviews, but you just quantify those interviews. So doing 80 interviews, or doing X number of hours of observations or reflections on the technological process or something, through participating in a particular way. You can start to quantify more qualitative lines of inquiry, and this is completely fine. Number 7, be clear on the differences between communications, dissemination, and exploitation is a common pitfall that proposals, I think, fall into, that they get confused between the differences between them, or even worse, they just use them interchangeably. So I think it's just about being precise with what you see each of them as being, and then making sure to take advantage of the different ways that SSH can be used to look at each of those. And finally, number 8. It's important to remember that even if you're not interested in SSH ideas and insights, you may well, without really even thinking about it, be doing SSH methods. So for instance, in doing something that's completely technical, you may yourself be doing workshops where you're bringing different technologists together for a particular reason, to push forward a particular idea. And so do look into, the literature on how to do this well, how to do these methods well. And I think this is something that people often don't think of, because they'll think about integrating SSH more in terms of ideas and content and behaviors and society, which is all important. But I think you can start to look at integration of SSH through methods as well. So those are my 8 tips. Hopefully they're of use to you, and good luck with any proposals you may be writing in Horizon Europe. Thanks.